Whether you choose to stay here or just play here, North Ka'anapali is the perfect slice of island paradise.
We'll be back with more in just a minute.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, your complete source for all things Maui.
My name is Theo Morrison, and I'm the Executive Director of Lahaina Restoration Foundation. I've been in that position for 11 years, and prior to that I did other work in Lahaina with nonprofit community groups. So in total, it's about 28 years working directly in downtown Lahaina. What's so unique about Lahaina compared to any other place in Hawaii is that during every era of Hawaii's history, Lahaina was a dominant place. During the pre-contact era, during the Monarchy era, during the whaling era, during the Missionary era, during the Plantation era, and now during the tourism era. And doubly unique to that whole situation is that the history has been saved. Lahaina is a tapestry of remnants from all these different eras. And you can actually walk, and I discovered this myself, you can actually walk through history along Front Street. Front Street is a very old road. It used to be called Alanui Moi, which is the King's Way. Today, you could start at Shaw Street, Shaw and Front Street, walk down past Moku'ula, which is the sacred island and where the monarchy lived, and prior to that, the high chiefs lived. And then you walk to Prison Street. There's a prison on that street, which was built during the whaling era. And then you keep walking till you go past the Lahaina Courthouse, which is part of the monarchy period. Then you go into the Baldwin House, which is the missionary period. And then you start walking through town. That's the Plantation era, all those buildings. And then you end up at the Outlet Mall, the epitome of the 21st century. All on one street, yeah. In the ancient times, like Dickinson Street was a river. There was like several rivers, streams running down, fresh water, abundant fish in the ocean. And the weather, as you know, is just beautiful here. All of Lahaina was covered by ulu trees, which created this tremendous shade. And from the early explorers that came here, there's written records of how Lahaina was above and beyond anything else they'd seen in the South Pacific and all the places they'd gone, with all the taro fields under the ulu trees. They said it was just amazing. The physical configuration, I guess you'd say, of this place just became a natural for its growth and popularity. The earliest recorded human habitation in Lahaina was around 400 AD. Prior to the monarchy being developed, this is where the high chiefs came. So Moku'ula, that became the home of Kamehameha III. It already was the logical place. It's a very special, sacred place. When the Plantation Pioneer Mill was established in 1860, and they started diverting the water. And when they diverted the water, Moku'ula dried up. Kamehameha III had already moved the capital to Oahu, so the whole interest sort of shifted that way, and then all the water was diverted. Moku'ula became definitely not what it was before. It became a marsh, actually. And then later on, it became a ball field. And only recently, like in 1980s, 1990s, was the actual history remembered, and they did an archaeological dig, and they verified that the island was there, that the bridge to connect the island to the other part of town was there. And that's when it really started, was after that dig done by the Bishop Museum. Kamehameha III is the one that really developed the whole nation of Hawaii as a monarchy. So here, by the harbor, is where they actually wrote the first constitution for the nation of Hawaii. The missionaries were involved with that too. They gave them the framework around which to form their government. During Kamehameha III, probably his greatest achievement is guiding the nation of Hawaii during this very tumultuous time when the Western influence was so great on the people and on the whole nation. And they were bringing in new technology at the time, new things, government, all those things, and he was very open as well as still protecting his people. I would say he was like a visionary. He could see that Hawaii had to adapt to what the changes in the world, like developing the constitutional monarchy. And they also traveled, Kamehameha III, Kamehameha IV, they traveled to other countries like Europe to learn about what was going on and to also develop relationships as a country to other powers at the time in the world. It was amazing when you consider how isolated they were.
Pacific Media Group and the Hawaii Visitors and Convention Bureau are proud to announce the official visitor guidebooks for the Hawaiian Islands. This suite of island-specific visitor guidebooks feature informative editorial content and offer helpful visitor resources such as island maps and stunning photography, highlighting the best that each island has to offer, as well as recommendations for popular attractions, dining options, shopping and cultural experiences, and island adventures and activities. Look for the official Visitor's Guide to Maui in airports, magazine racks, and select hotels and resorts. The official visitor guidebooks to the Hawaiian Islands, available now.
My name is Theo Morrison, and I'm the Executive Director of Lahaina Restoration Foundation. I've been in that position for 11 years, and prior to that I did other work in Lahaina with nonprofit community groups. So in total, it's about 28 years working directly in downtown Lahaina. What's so unique about Lahaina compared to any other place in Hawaii is that during every era of Hawaii's history, Lahaina was a dominant place. And doubly unique to that whole situation is that the history has been saved. Lahaina is a tapestry of remnants from all these different eras. The missionary era started, I think the first ship started coming over like in the 1820s. Dr. Baldwin came here in the 1830s. Prior to the missionaries coming over, the kapu system, the Hawaiian system, the religious system, had already been broken. So there was a bit of a void here when the missionaries brought over Christianity. And the original missionaries that came over were instructed by the mission society not to get involved with government, to learn the language, to help the people become prosperous. So the missionaries came and there was like a void. And so they were able to preach the Christian religion, and it was accepted by the people. And then they also brought the written word, which was tremendously exciting to the Hawaiian people to understand that words could be written down. And again, it was in the Hawaiian language. So they took the Hawaiian language and made it a written language. The monarchy, the kings, the royalty, the leis, they endorsed the education, and education was required. It was required for kids to go to school. Hawaii, at the time, in the 1800s, became one of the most literate nations in the whole world. Before that time, it had been totally an oral language, which worked fine at the time. But I think then the contact with the Western world and the ships coming in and asking the leis to sign papers, and the leis didn't know what it said, or they were told it was something different than what it was. So they saw this as a source of knowledge, and they realized they needed to know and to preserve their language in a written form. Dr. Baldwin, he was a doctor as well as a missionary. He came to Lahaina and he just became a very dominant force in the community. He just loved the people, and whenever he was preaching, it was always in Hawaiian, and they spoke in Hawaiian, and their books, etc., were in Hawaiian. One of the most significant things he did was stopped the smallpox epidemic on Maui, because he understood vaccines. And he himself was immune to smallpox, but he also knew the dangers of smallpox. Smallpox came in from some of the foreign ships, and so Oahu was hit first because he had more ships coming in. This became his passion in life. And if you read his letters, he talks about how he really wants to preach and follow that path, but he absolutely feels obligated to vaccinate the population of Maui to save them from smallpox. So he gets on horseback and he rides around all the way to Hana to vaccinate people. And Oahu had tens of thousands of people died of smallpox, and here there was less than 100. So the people, in appreciation of that, built Aloha, which is the House of Love, to honor Dr. Baldwin's commitment to stopping smallpox.
Be sure and check out MVC's YouTube channel and watch all the content you see here on the Maui Visitor Channel streaming on YouTube. Or view any of our content there as well, on demand, anytime, anywhere. Look for the red live frame and check out all things Maui at your leisure, streaming to your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV, in the comfort of your car, home, or office, anywhere in the world, anytime, with MVC's YouTube channel. Or share all of MVC's informative, engaging programming with friends and family before they come to Maui, so they can get the lowdown on what's up on Maui. YouTube and the Maui Visitor Channel, a match made in paradise. Search for Maui Visitor Channel online and look for the YouTube channel, or go to youtube.com and search for Maui Visitor Channel there, and let the viewing begin.
When you're here in Hawaii, you have to think about it from a Hawaiian perspective. And the Hawaiian perspective is that this is our ohana. We need to interact with it in that way. We need to give the land the same respect we would give somebody we love. Not only are we entering someone else's land, someone else's property, but we're actually like stepping on and walking in a living being. I think that concept of asking for permission is probably the most important one that we have. I'd rather ask for permission than beg for forgiveness. The old environmental credo still stands, right? We want to take only pictures, leave only footprints. And if we can take that mentality back and spread those ideas around the world, then the world would be a much better place.
While here on Maui or any of the other Hawaiian Islands, be sure to check out our sister station,
Experience Hawaii, in high definition, where you can experience the best Hawaii has to offer. Broadcast statewide, Experience Hawaii takes you to places you've never been before or even seen before, and you'll meet a few interesting individuals along the way. And it's all in amazing high definition right in your home. This is Eye Candy Island style. Join us at Experience Hawaii for a visual journey around these magnificent islands we call home. From stunning landscapes, seascapes, and sunsets to special features exploring the beauty and individuality of our islands. Experience the very best Hawaii has to offer. Experience Hawaii in high definition. Available throughout the Hawaiian Islands.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, your complete source for all things Maui.
My name is Theo Morrison, and I'm the Executive Director of Lahaina Restoration Foundation. I've been in that position for 11 years, and prior to that I did other work in Lahaina with nonprofit community groups. So in total, it's about 28 years working directly in downtown Lahaina. What's so unique about Lahaina compared to any other place in Hawaii is that during every era of Hawaii's history, Lahaina was a dominant place. And doubly unique to that whole situation is that the history has been saved. Lahaina is a tapestry of remnants from all these different eras. The whaling era was actually very short. It was only like about 30 years. It started around 1830 and it ended in 1860. And there's also a lot of misinformation about what Lahaina was during the whaling era. Lahaina was never the whale capital of the Pacific. That was a misnomer that was kind of developed during the 70s as a marketing tool for Lahaina. It never was that. The whaling ships came here not to kill whales. They came here, or even look at whales like they do now. They came here to reprovision. So they'd come from the east coast of the United States, and that's a long trip, that's 6 months to get here. So they'd get here and then they'd reprovision here, which was great for the town, economically for the town, and for the farmers. And then they would take off and go up to the Arctic to kill whales. And then on the way back, when they're full of, after like, sometimes they stayed up there for like 3 years, they'd come back and again, they'd stop here and reprovision and then head back home. And when they stopped here, each whaling ship had like about 30 guys on it. And their basic theory was there was no God west of the Horn. And so they were here to party and drink and really created a lot of ruckus, which is why the old Lahaina prison was actually constructed. And if you read the letters, like from Dr. Baldwin, he wrote lots and lots of letters. The missionaries were on the side of the Hawaiians, constantly trying to curb the drinking and the carousing that went on when these whaling ships were in the port. Sometimes there was up to 100 ships in Lahaina with 30 guys on each ship that had been away from all the good things in life for like, 3 years. So yeah, it was pretty bad. And what missionaries were trying to do was stop the sale of alcohol here. And they did for a couple of years, they were able to do that. And the ship captains, who actually came right here to the Master's Reading Room, that's why it's called that, they totally supported that too. But it was just extremely difficult to do that. There's a lot of grog shops up and down Front Street, because that's what these guys wanted. But it all came to a screeching halt when they started to kill so many whales that the whales diminished in number. So they had to go further and further north. So in the 1860s, a huge number of whaling ships were actually caught in the ice up north and were destroyed. All the men were able to escape in their little whaling boats to another ship that wasn't stuck in the ice. But that was a huge blow to the whaling industry, and then shortly after that they discovered oil. And that just put the end to the whole thing. So it was like the crash of the stock market for Lahaina. It was huge. During the whaling era, Kamehameha III saw how the whaling ships were having trouble getting in at night, trying to see where the harbor was. So he built a lighthouse. It was the first lighthouse in the Pacific. When it was first built, it was lit with whale oil. Then it transitioned to kerosene at the end of the whaling era. Then it transitioned to electric. And now, in 2009, it transitioned to solar. Although not the same structure, obviously, but in the same place, still exists. It's still a functioning lighthouse at Lahaina Harbor. To me, that one structure exemplifies what the historic district is. Through all those eras of Lahaina's history, starting with the whaling era, it's been doing its job. all this turmoil and change took place, and it just continues to do its job till today, guiding ships into the harbor.
"24 years of experience. in 11 different countries. As a lover of art, Moana Glass and Ryan Staub Gallery are an experience like no other. You will see glass artwork here that you won't find anywhere else in the world. Every single piece is made right here on Maui by people who live right here on Maui. I'm Ryan Staub, and this is Moana Glass and Ryan Staub Gallery. Find us on moanaglass.com.
My name is Theo Morrison, and I'm the Executive Director of Lahaina Restoration Foundation. I've been in that position for 11 years, and prior to that I did other work in Lahaina with nonprofit community groups. So in total, it's about 28 years working directly in downtown Lahaina. What's so unique about Lahaina compared to any other place in Hawaii is that during every era of Hawaii's history, Lahaina was a dominant place. And doubly unique to that whole situation is that the history has been saved. Lahaina is a tapestry of remnants from all these different eras. After the whaling era, it became the plantation era. So that's when 1860, when the Pioneer Mill was built. And then Lahaina converted to a plantation town. Pioneer Mill was a very successful sugar mill. They actually bought up many of the other mills that had started. So it was one of the larger mills. It actually closed in 1999. When it closed, the only last one left was the Pu'unene Mill. The biggest thing it brought in was people from the immigrants, because to produce sugar, it takes a tremendous amount of labor. And so the Pioneer Mill Company and all the different sugar companies had to go outside of Hawaii to bring in labor. So they went to China, was the first country that they went to. They went to countries where the people were desperately poor and they wanted a better life. And this was a better life. Although it was a pretty harsh life here, it was definitely better than where they came from. So the Chinese, the Japanese, the Filipinos, they just got a whole bunch of different immigrant groups to come and work in the fields and work in the factory. When the sugar mill brought in the different ethnic groups to work in the fields, they had a system of segregation. The mill was very paternalistic. The mill provided all the housing. They built houses, and they were called camps. So they built a camp for the Chinese people, then they built a camp for Japanese people and the Filipino people, and that's how they were kept separate. However, they all worked together in the fields. And so even though they couldn't speak the same language, they actually developed, that's how Pidgin English was developed, so they could communicate. And they all shared their food. And when they shared their food, that's what today is what we call mixed plate, which is a combination of the different ethnic foods in one dish. However, on the plus side for keeping them separate like that, the cultures stayed really intact. So the Chinese would celebrate their Chinese New Year, their different festivals within their camp. The other camps would go there to visit. The people from the other camps would go there to visit. So now today, Hawaii has so much of all these, a variety of cultures that are very, very strong. All over Hawaii, you see the Japanese Hongwanji, different temples. There's unfortunately fewer Chinese ones than there used to be, but we have one in Lahaina. So that's another part of just what makes Hawaii so unique, it's the melting pot of these different cultures. That's the layers of history that we have here, which are still there. It's not like they've gone away. It's not like ancient history. They're definitely still there, still practiced. Yeah, and people really enjoy that. It's a definite sense of pride with the local people.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your complete source for all things Maui.
My name is Theo Morrison, and I'm the Executive Director of Lahaina Restoration Foundation. I've been in that position for 11 years, and prior to that I did other work in Lahaina with nonprofit community groups. So in total, it's about 28 years working directly in downtown Lahaina. What's so unique about Lahaina compared to any other place in Hawaii is that during every era of Hawaii's history, Lahaina was a dominant place. And doubly unique to that whole situation is that the history has been saved. Lahaina is a tapestry of remnants from all these different eras. The harbor was one of the reasons why Lahaina became what it did over all those eras. It's a very desirable harbor, small harbor, but very desirable, very protected. If there wasn't a harbor there, it's debatable. The whaling era wouldn't have happened here, and it's debatable whether much of the other eras would have happened here. So it was a significant part of the physical layout that made Lahaina a great place. When Kamehameha was on his way to conquer all the islands, there was like 100 canoes lined up out there. And then after that became the whaling ships were out there. And today you see the visitor boats and then the big cruise ships come in. It's like everything else in Lahaina through all eras of Lahaina's history, it's a very pivotal place. At one point in time during the Plantation era, all the mail for the island of Maui came in to Lahaina from steamers. So it's always been a very good, small, but very good harbor. Originally, the area where the courthouse is located today was a fort. That entire Banyan Tree Park was surrounded by a coral block wall. It wasn't much of a fort, but it was a fort. And then as the whaling industry kind of exploded here and the problems doubly exploded, they took down the fort and used those coral blocks to build the prison. And then the courthouse was built. It became like the center of government here. So there was a post office there. The sheriff was there. There's a jail, which is now the old jail gallery. It was only in the late 1990s that it was stopped being a public building. And then the courts moved and the post office moved. Before that happened, there was discussion in the newspaper about cutting down the banyan tree to make more parking for the court. Fortunately, they decided to move the court. Well, each era was pretty unique. However, as I said, the reason Lahaina, we believe, became such an important place through all those different eras was its physical setting. And so that physical setting is still here. You know, every day is like a fabulous day, and we never get tired of that. You know, in 2011, we won one of the 10 great streets in the whole United States. You look at the street and somebody will be going by on a skateboard, and then a guy on a bicycle with a big, fish under his arm will be biking down the street to take it to a restaurant. Then you have tourists, then you have some woman with a baby stroller crossing the street. People jaywalk all the time. That's just the norm. So this whole variety of life just happens on Front Street, and it's a very active town. So like the local fishermen come out, like 3 or 4 in the morning and set up their poles along Front Street. And then the businesses open around 9 o'clock and they keep going till 10, and then they close, and then the bar scene starts happening. So it's a very amazingly dynamic town. And then at sunset, even the store clerks will be standing on their door watching the sunset at night. It's pretty amazing. Everybody just sort of stops and watches the sunset. People line the seawalls, they go line the park. So there's this whole appreciation of nature, even, it's a small little town, but it's still a dominant part of Lahaina.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your complete source for all things Maui.
From black lava flows to green fairways, windy shores to calm waters, 5-star to informal, South Maui provides a study in contrast. No matter how you spend your visit, you'll have no trouble understanding why we call it the sunny, sandy, sublime South Side. This 12-mile stretch of nearly uninterrupted shoreline is one of the most popular places to stay on Maui. And with only 10 inches of annual rainfall, it's the most reliable place to experience paradise. Maybe that's why South Maui is nicknamed the Gold Coast. The gateway to this lively strand of coastal communities is Ma'alaia Harbor, a bustling, blustery hub of activity. Its location between the West Maui Mountains and Haleakala channels wind into the harbor, cooling and clearing the air. The constant breezes supply windsurfers with a delightful place to practice, and the nearby wind farm with plenty of renewable energy. And an armada of pleasure boats, charter fishing excursions, and snorkel trips to Molokini launch from Ma'alaia every day. No trip would be complete without a tour of the Maui Ocean Center, the largest reef aquarium in North America. It's so popular that a stop here could easily turn into an all-day affair. If you prefer wings to fins, the Ke'alea Pond National Wildlife Preserve stretches between Ma'alaia and Kihei. A boardwalk dotted with shelters and interpretive signs is under construction and will serve as a self-guided tour. Or you can catch a glimpse of the endangered Hawaiian stilts and coots right from the road on the way to Kihei.
Also in Kihei is an opportunity to connect with Hawaii's rich cultural past at Ko'i'ie Fish Pond on Kolepolepo Beach. Fish ponds were a sustainable means of farming fish in old Hawaii, and you can learn all about fish ponds here from native Hawaiians who are helping to revitalize this 400-year-old cultural treasure. They even offer a unique Hawaiian outrigger canoe tour where you can help paddle the canoe as you tour the pond and its surrounding environment.
Kihei is best experienced along its beachfront lower road, where anyone can enjoy the sunshine, surf, and sand that are hallmarks of the area. The wide stretches of beach host a number of exciting activities. Brightly painted outrigger canoes push off every morning, while other adventurers try surfing, scuba diving, and snorkeling. You'll find volleyball, tennis, golf, and plenty of expanses to throw a frisbee. You can even drop in and catch some air at the skate park. And daily craft fairs, exotic import retailers, sidewalk cafes, and unique farmers markets all make Kihei a singular shopping haven. The fun continues long into the night with an array of dance clubs, karaoke hotspots, and sports bars. It's a fantastic way to end an evening in Kihei. We'll journey further south right after this.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your complete source for all things Maui.
Wailea, the green tree-lined avenues and immaculately manicured gardens are unmistakable. It's hard to believe that just a couple decades ago, it was mostly kiawe trees and ranch land. Under the development of Alexander and Baldwin Company, this area is now an emerald oasis. Every palm tree and plumeria was planted as a deliberate accessory to the unmatched powdery shores and crystalline waters. This is Wailea, originally dedicated to Lea, the goddess of canoe making. Today, Wailea is dedicated to pure pleasure. The best way to explore this section of the Gold Coast is on Wailea's Coastal Nature Trail, which winds through crescent-shaped beaches, secluded coves, and over $1 billion worth of luxury hotels.
A hidden gem along the coast, Andaz Maui at Wailea radiates contemporary luxury at every turn. Perched among crescent shores, this 15-acre beachfront resort immerses visitors in the warm and welcoming spirit of Maui. Located between two of South Maui's most renowned beaches is the Wailea Beach Marriott Resort and Spa, an open-air haven that provides guests with an array of accommodations, serene poolside settings, and amazing coastal views. The Wailea Beach Villas are situated on the northern end of the world-famous Wailea Beach. Aside from the property's lush grounds and tempting pools, these lavish villas offer guests the chance to create a private and spacious retreat during their stay on Maui. Continuing along the walkway, you'll find the Grand Wailea. This stunning 40-acre resort includes a world-class spa, an impressive art collection, and an amazing array of pools and waterfalls. There's even a seaside chapel that's ideal for exchanging or renewing wedding vows. Further down Wailea Beach is the luxurious Four Seasons Resort Maui, an open-air retreat with an expansive courtyard of pools and gardens, along with top-rated restaurants, first-class amenities, and front-row views of the Blue Pacific. Along the secluded waters of Polo Beach, you'll find the Fairmont Kealani Maui, a fitting name, Kealani, that means heavenly white in Hawaiian. Aside from its unique architecture, the Kealani is also known for its opulent beachfront accommodations. Perched above the breathtaking Wailea coastline is the secluded Hotel Wailea, a true luxury escape where guests enjoy peaceful surroundings and stunning panoramas, providing plenty of opportunity to relax and reflect.
And if you're looking for Maui's ultimate destination for unforgettable shopping, then look to the Shops at Wailea. It's one of the most beautiful and exclusive shopping centers in Hawaii. One of the world's greatest golf destinations, the Wailea Golf Club boasts 3 18-hole championship courses, all with spectacular ocean views and dozens of prestigious awards. And Wailea's 1,000-seat tennis stadium has been called Wimbledon West and hosts one of Hawaii's largest local tournaments. Located at the tail end of the Gold Coast is Makena, a sacred place offering the freedom and space to reconnect with nature. Past Makena Bay is one of the island's earliest churches, Keavalai Congregational Church. Built from white coral and lava rock, this historic church holds Hawaiian language services every Sunday morning. After Makena, the road fades away to reveal Ahihikina'u Marine Preserve and La Perouse Bay, site of Maui's first official visit by European explorers in 1786. Now, if you plan to travel this far, be prepared. There are no road signs or amenities in the area. And please be respectful of the Marine Preserve and surrounding private property. From here on out, passage is pretty much only by foot. Be sure to wear proper footwear, because the sharp shards of lava will cut bare feet and rubber slippers to shreds. You can hike the old Pi'ilani Highway, or King's Highway, which is said to have once encircled the entire island. It's just one of the many perfect ways to end your day in sunny South Maui. From ancient trails to modern luxuries, $5 eateries to 5-star dining, exciting adventures to relaxing sanctuaries. This 12-mile coastline supplies you with everything paradise has to offer. We'll be back with more in just a minute.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your complete source for all things Maui. Not far from the resort towns on the west and south side of the island, cooled by brisk trade winds and home to acres of sugarcane fields, Central Maui is steeped in the aura of old world Hawaii. This is the heart of Maui, where battles were fought and early missionaries came to settle. On the lush green mountainside and stretching down to the sea, you'll find Wailuku, rich in history, culture, and the heritage of the island. Wailuku means water of destruction,
One of Hawaii's most famous and fiercest battles was fought in 1790 between Maui warriors against the invading King Kamehameha, who sought to add Maui to his Hawaiian empire. The conflict was so intense, bodies of the slain warriors formed a dam in the Iao River, and more than 4 miles of the stream ran red with their blood. Wailuku was irrevocably changed with the arrival of the missionaries in the early 1800s, who introduced Western culture, agricultural implements, and religion. By 1860, the sugar industry brought further change to Wailuku as people from Asia and Europe came to the island to work in the factories and fields, many making their homes in Wailuku. By 1905, Wailuku had become the commercial and business hub of the island. It was an era of growth and prosperity, and it continued into the 1960s. Today, Wailuku remains the county seat and is the business and government center of Maui. It offers island visitors a taste of the historic past, as well as a promise of the future, and an array of activities and diversions off the beaten path. You can experience some of Wailuku's history at the Ka'ahumanu Church, the oldest existing stone church on Maui, built to honor King Kamehameha's wife, an early convert to Christianity, who was instrumental in the conversion of the Hawaiian people. Today you can experience Sunday morning services where the Hawaiian congregation sings hymns in their native language. The missionary, sugarcane cultivator, and painter Edward Bailey supervised the construction of the church in 1879. You can find out all about him and his impact on the island of Maui at the Bailey House Museum. The museum was originally the home of Edward and Carolyn Bailey and is rich in history and artifacts. Moving on up the road, you'll find the mystical and scenic Iao Valley State Park. Iao means cloud supreme and is one of Maui's most popular scenic destinations. Mark Twain once referred to Iao as the Yosemite of the Pacific. Iao Valley is the home of the Iao Needle, a monolithic pillar of stone rising 2,250 feet above sea level and topped with a grassy plateau that was once a natural altar, as well as a strategic lookout for defense. The valley is a place long revered by native Hawaiians and was a burial place for ali'i, or Hawaiian nobility. The remains of many ali'i remain undisturbed, tucked away in the deep, majestic valley walls. The lush and scenic valley is a great place for short or long hikes. You can experience the breathtaking panoramic vistas and trickling streams filling clear blue natural pools. Downtown Wailuku is in the process of gentrification and is filled with intriguing art galleries, retail shops, and cafes. Take a walk down Market Street, known as Maui's Antique Row, and discover specialty treasures you won't find anywhere else, and merchants who will welcome you with the true spirit of Aloha. Market Street is also the home of the historic Iao Theater. Built in 1928, the theater is the oldest theater building in Hawaii. Bob Hope and Frank Sinatra trod the boards at the Iao Theater during the USO shows of World War II, and the premiere of the film From Here to Eternity was held here. Currently, the Iao is home to Maui on Stage. Eating out in Wailuku is an international adventure with cuisine from around the world. You'll find some of the best and most affordable restaurants Maui has to offer. Wailuku is a charming old-world place to stay, to shop, to eat, and enjoy. Experience the old and the new, the people and the land, off the beaten path, in wonderful, historic, enchanting Wailuku. Stay tuned for more Maui Island of the Sun.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your complete source for all things Maui.
Ever wondered why Maui is called the Valley Isle? It's because of the large flatland that separates the two volcanoes and bridges the east and west sides of the island. Nestled between the tall green grass and the deepwater harbor is Kahului. Kahului is where the locals go to shop, to dine, and to play. In fact, straight off the plane, you can find some of Maui's best shopping, affordable restaurants, the island's top kite and windsurfing spot, plus plenty of local history. When the sugarcane industry emerged in the late 1860s, Kahului centered entirely around the harbor. The first railroad on the islands, the Kahului Railroad Company, was completed on Maui in 1897 and carried sugar and pineapples from Wailuku to the harbor. Kahului quickly became the lifeline of the island. In the 1950s, the Kahului Development Company built affordable housing for the cane workers. For many, the dream of home ownership finally became a reality. And for this reason, the developers named Kahului Dream City. If you travel southwest of the airport, you can't miss Kahului Harbor. This bustling port thrived in the 20th century as Maui's premier harbor and commercial center. Even today, the island is dependent on this port. It's the only deep-water harbor where ships can dock on the island. Gigantic barges carry commodities in and out of the port daily, from paper products to automobiles. The majority of the island's goods pass through here. It's also a popular destination for cruise ships from around the world. In World War II, Japanese submarines attacked the harbor twice, failing both times. In 1943, the Kahului Naval Air Station was established to protect this important seaport. To this day, the harbor is still a conduit to the rest of the island. Overlooking the harbor is the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. This $32 million complex offers special events, live performances, and art galleries. The last pineapple cannery in the United States was located in the center of Kahului. The red brick building, built in 1926, could process 90,000 tons of pineapples, and at its peak, it made 60 million cans of this sweet tropical fruit per year. Saturday morning, the Maui Swap Meet is where to find handmade Hawaiian clothing and local arts and crafts. It's located at the University of Hawaii Maui campus across from the Arts and Cultural Center. Kahului is also home to the best kite and windsurfing spot on the island, Kanaha Beach. With its gently sloping, sandy bottom and strong winds, it's the ideal location to catch a wave. Whether you're out for fun, shopping, or interested in culture or local history, Kahului has so much to offer. Perhaps Kahului should be your dream city, too. Stay tuned for more Maui, Island of the Sun.
You have to think about it from a Hawaiian perspective. And the Hawaiian perspective is that this is our ohana.
Before you go hiking, ensure that it's a public trail that you can access.
If you're going to be hiking in a place where you're unsure if it's safe or legal to access, make sure you consult with a local guide that has a lot of experience in the area that you're going to.
There's some really hot areas, there's some really cold areas, so just make sure you're prepared for any kind of conditions.
Proper footwear is really important. Having a light jacket, having rain protection.
When you're hiking, stay on the trail.
Never enter places without permission.
You know, the old environmental credo still stands, right? We want to take only pictures, leave only footprints. And if we can take that mentality back and spread those ideas around the world, then the world would be a much better place.
discover Hana. Many have found this breathtaking trip to be their best time on Maui. The road to Hana is filled with the essence of what is truly Hawaii. Spectacular waterfalls, rainforests, the rugged Hana shoreline, and unusual beaches. Don't leave the island without taking this Maui magical journey. The historic road to Hana is one of the most beautiful drives in the world and has often been called the highway to heaven. Your final destination and the main attraction should be the pools of Oheo in Kipahulu. With 617 curves and 54 one-lane bridges, it's easy to understand the slogan, "I survived the road to Hana." Actually, it's quite easy to drive to Hana because the road was totally repaved and widened in the 90s. If you were to travel the 52 miles from Kahului to Hana without stopping, it'd take about 2 hours. But with photo stops, picnic stops, and swimming stops, well, it could take 3 to 4 hours. Remember, around every corner, a new adventure awaits. And the further you go, the better it gets. Paia Town is the gateway to the road to Hana. Paia has gone through many changes throughout the decades, which is probably why the town has so much character. This is your last chance to gas up and buy food and water. You'll also want to make sure you bring your bathing suit, camera, and picnic supplies. Just past Mama's Fish House is Ho'okipa Beach Park, the windsurfing capital of the world. If conditions are right, you might be able to take a spectacular photograph of world-class windsurfers in action. Remember, you're on an adventure, so be sure and stop and enjoy the many fruit and flower stands along the way. Mile marker 3 is where your trip really starts to get interesting. Here, the narrow road begins to take on a life of its own. Civilization quickly becomes a thing of the past. Soon you're entering one of the few rainforests accessible by a vehicle. This might be one of the few times on your vacation that you're hoping for rain. A little bit past mile marker 9 is the Waikamoi Nature Trail. It's an ideal place to stretch your legs. At the top of the trail is a peaceful bamboo forest. Here you can really sense what ancient Hawaii was like, unspoiled, serene, and magical. All along the way, especially if it's raining, you'll find dozens of waterfalls that you can see from your vehicle. Another popular stop is Kamehameha Park. Here you'll be able to catch your first glimpse of the Hana coast. The Kenai Peninsula comes next. Just past mile marker 15, it's the first left turn after the Arboretum. This village area is legendary for its taro farming, which has been passed down through generations of families, and it's still one of the major commercial taro farming regions in the state. With its rocky coastline and peaceful valley, Kenai's charm is the perfect backdrop for many scenic photographs. Back on the Hana Highway and up the hill to the left is the Kenai Lookout. It's a fantastic place for a picnic with a bird's eye view. Right about now, you might be looking for a real public restroom. Well, pull over at Pu'aka'a State Park. Here, you'll also find waterfalls, a swimming pond, and a picnic area. Your next stop should be the lush 120-acre Wainapanapa State Park. The Hawaiian meaning for Wainapanapa is glistening waters. Inside the park is an unusual black sand beach. Once you reach Hana, you'll discover that it's really quite a charming little town. Its charm comes from its people, and of course the unspoiled natural beauty. Stay tuned. There's more about Hana after these messages.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, your complete source for all things Maui.
Continuing past Hana, you'll come to the Hamoa Beach Loop. Treat yourself to what many call their favorite beach. The visibility in these turquoise-colored waters is incredible. Remember, Hamoa Beach is public, but please be respectful of the surrounding private property. One of the most impressive waterfalls along the Hana Highway is Wailuku Falls. Visible from the road, this 200-foot cascade of water drops down a sharp cliff surrounded by rainforest vegetation. The misty air may surround you as you take in the waterfall's majestic beauty. At mile marker 43, you'll come to Kipahulu and Oheo Gulch, a popular destination and one of the main attractions along the journey. A short walk to the ocean reveals a breathtaking view of the famous pools of Ohio. These pools are as picturesque as anything Hawaii has to offer. Cascading waterfalls pouring into crystal clear pools. The last pool actually touches the ocean. While being immersed in this pristine water, you might want to look around and imagine what the ancient Hawaiians might have thought of these beautiful pools. You'll find plenty of places to jump in and swim, but please use some common sense and be aware that flash flooding can occur, so be careful. You really could spend the better part of a day at the pools of Ohio. There are 4 pools below the bridge and 20 pools above the bridge, and they're equally beautiful and refreshing. If you brought food and a blanket, the bluff next to the pools is an ideal place for a picnic with an ocean view. Want to take one of the prettiest hikes in all of Hawaii? The trailhead to Waimoku Waterfall begins right across the street from the ranger station. This well-marked path will carry you through pastures and into a magnificent bamboo forest. The quiet sound of the bamboo swaying in the wind will be a Maui memory forever. At the end of this 2-mile hike is the impressive 400-foot Waimoku Waterfall. Hana has been called one of the last Hawaiian places, and its beauty can be a salvation, a welcome solace from the troubles of life. There's more to Maui, Island of the Sun, right after these messages.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your complete source for all things Maui.
Sunrise at Haleakala, one of the most breathtaking experiences on the face of the earth. Mark Twain wrote of this experience more than 100 years ago.
With the first pallor of dawn, we arose and saw things that were new to us. Mounted on a commanding pinnacle, we watched nature work her silent wonders. I felt as if I were the last man on earth, neglected of the judgment and left pinnacled in mid-heaven, a forgotten relic of a vanished world.
Here on the slopes of Haleakala, the awesome and silent beauty of nature overwhelmed the senses and the spirit. For indeed, here you almost feel in touch with eternity, so isolated, so ruggedly beautiful, so desolate, and yet so alive. Indeed, it's that very isolation that has brought about some of the most unusual life forms in the world. A unique biology that's distinctly Hawaiian. The most famous biological resident of the park is the rare silver sword, or Ahina. Its silvery leaves reflect the burning sunlight while gathering in what little moisture the harsh surroundings may offer. With a lifespan of 30 years, the silver sword blooms only once, then surrenders herself to the mountain from which she came. Once on the verge of extinction, the nene, Hawaii's state bird, may also be seen on the slopes of Haleakala from time to time. Another thing to guard for before you journey up these lava slopes is the cold. In the wintertime, the temperature can dip below freezing, and even on the best days, if you're not dressed properly, you could find your teeth chattering. It's also not uncommon to be rained upon, then baked in the sun, then rained on again, all in a matter of just a few hours. So be sure to dress accordingly. Sunrise at Haleakala is indeed an unforgettable event, but not without some hardship. So before you start out, call this number to make sure the weather will be clear and find out what time the sun rises. And if you're staying in the Lahaina Ka'anapali area, plan on a 2 to 3 hour drive to get to the summit. And that means getting up real early. From Lahaina, take Highway 30 to 380, then right on Highway 36. This is the Hana Highway. Then another right on 37 and on up until you get to 377, then just follow the signs to the summit. From the Wailea Kihei area, take the Pi'ilani Highway 31 to 350, then on to 37 and 377. Your travel time to the summit should be about 2 hours. From the snow-capped peaks beckoning from the Big Island to the arid moonscape below, there's a lot to see and explore on Haleakala. For the more athletic, permits are available at park headquarters daily for hiking and camping within the crater. There are more than 30 miles of trails, plus a multitude of volcanic bombs, cinder cones, and lava tubes to explore. One word of caution for you would-be sportsmen. At 10,000 feet, the air is very thin, so take your time. Don't overexert yourself. This is especially true for those with high blood pressure or heart conditions. Haleakala, the house of the sun, the landscape of the moon, and the home of the gods. About as close to heaven as most of us will ever be. In this lifetime, anyway.
Here are a few tips when visiting Haleakala National Park. Sunrise viewing is very popular, so be aware of possible long wait times at the park entrance and limited parking at the summit itself, which is an additional 40-minute drive from the park entrance. Your minimum drive times from Lahaina is about 3 hours, from Wailea about 2.5 hours, and from Kahului it's about 2 hours. Temperatures at the summit are at least 20 degrees colder than at sea level, so bundle up, dress appropriately, and also be prepared for possible intense sun, rain, fog, and high winds. And at 10,000 feet above sea level, you should also be cautious if you have a respiratory or heart condition. You may want to consider a later morning or afternoon visit to avoid the sunrise crowds. And the sunsets can also be awesome. There's no food or gas available in the park. For more information about your visit to Haleakala National Park, just log on to nps.gov/Hale or HALE.
On the heavenly slopes of Haleakala, the mystical Ali'ikula Lavender Farm invites you to share in their lifestyle of lavender. Embrace the soothing and relaxing effects of adding lavender to your life. Take part in a variety of activities and tours daily, or simply explore the farm on your own. Enjoy the breathtaking views with a cup of lavender coffee or tea and our delicious lavender scones. And the charming gift shop filled with all things lavender is definitely a must. Experience the serenity of Upcountry as fragrance, aroma, and taste take your senses to a better place. Call or visit Ali'ikula Lavender online to learn more about what's in store today at Maui's most life-changing destination. And mention you saw them here on the Maui Visitor Channel and you'll receive free admission into the farm. Ali'ikula Lavender.
On the western slopes of Haleakala, just below the cloud line, exists an idyllic setting stretching from Kula and Ulapalakua in the south to Makawao in the north. This is Maui's Upcountry. The charm of this rural region is, well, country. The hills dotted with cattle and horses are plentiful with flower and vegetable farms. Upcountry is peaceful, unpretentious, and not too anxious to reveal her secrets. It will, however, surprise you with a past that's quite remarkable, boasting stories of sea captains, kings, and cowboys. It also tells fantastic tales of fortunes made and lost.
My family started farming about 4 generations ago. I don't know how many years, but it's over close to 100 years ago. And right now I'm still in the cabbage business, growing cabbage, a 4th generation farmer up in Kula area.
From Hawaii's early years to the present day, the area known as Kula has been Maui's agricultural district, traditionally growing taro and sweet potatoes under a system of land divisions called ahupua'as. These zones represented areas of forest, agriculture, shoreline, and ocean, and each provided the goods and resources of their district. Kula, with its seemingly endless bounty of fruits and vegetables, helped fuel both history and events for over 200 years, supplying kings with provisions to trade for their war chests and sea captains with fortunes from land leases and plantations. Kula and her rich, fertile soil supplied them all. With this enterprise came waves of immigration to help work the land. Landowners bought, sold, and merged to form modern dynasties. And as you can see, some of the names still remain as towns, stores, and landmarks, all of them reminders of Upcountry's past. Today, Upcountry farmers are once again embracing changes in the agricultural landscape as culinary kings demand organic produce and exotic fruits, and Hawaiians trade island-made products in new marketing ventures, all of them making a little history of their own. Traveling south further down the road is Ulapalakua,
home of Maui Wine's vineyards.
Visitors can stop and sample local wines, enjoy the scenery, and at the same time get a small taste of Ulupalakua history. Imagine what the estate must have looked like over 100 years ago. Back then it was called Rose Ranch. Peacocks roamed, Lokilani roses bloomed, and King Kalakaua, a frequent guest, enjoyed his own cottage. It was a brief yet elegant time until ranching replaced royalty. Ulupalakua Ranch soon took its place in cattle ranching history as the home to several world-renowned Hawaiian paniolos. Today, it's one of Maui's largest working cattle ranches. Why, you're more likely to see these modern paniolos roping steer and driving cattle from their ATVs. Reminiscent of days gone by, the paniolos at Haleakala Ranch still keep busy rounding up cattle and tending to the business of modern-day ranching.
Initially, when the vaqueros came in, they were brought in to educate the Hawaiians as to, how to rope and ride and handle cattle, seeing as they didn't have any experience whatsoever prior to that. And they seem to have been good students, and it was something that just fell into their culture and their personality, and it's continued on till today.
Despite the modern changes, Maui's upcountry has kept its paniolo heritage alive. Each year, roping and equestrian skills are tested at our state's biggest rodeo in Makawao, Hawaii's cowboy town. Upcountry. It's the kind of country that only Maui could offer. The next time you travel up these cloud-lined slopes, let your senses come alive and imagine. With a little curiosity, you too can rediscover a part of Maui's historical past. Stay tuned for more Maui, Island of the Sun. You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your complete source for all things Maui. Head to the upper regions of Haleakala Crater, and you'll discover an area that's turned into one of Maui's most interesting personalities. It's upcountry. You'll find rows of hardy produce next to fields of fragile flowers, contemporary boutiques with rustic storefronts. These colorful contrasts are tempered by landscapes so peaceful and serene that some people have called upcountry the place where earth meets heaven. Indeed, there is something heavenly about these gentle rolling hills and panoramic ocean views, vast ranches washed in vivid emerald, and botanical gardens that resemble an artist's palette. Sitting on the 3,000-foot level of Haleakala, upcountry spans from the redwood heights of Ulupalakua to the lower boundaries of Pukalani, so there's plenty of area to explore. If you're coming back from Hana or from the top of Haleakala, the first place you want to check out is the Ulupalakua Ranch.
You won't miss the ranch because you'll be greeted by these cowboys in front of the general store. The highlight of this ranch is the Maui Wine Winery, the only winery on the island. The ranch grows about 20 acres of carnelian grapes, and from these grapes produce several different varieties of wine. They even make a special wine from pineapple. You can take a tour of the winery and stop by the wine tasting room.
Aside from the winery, Ulupalakua Ranch is made up of 18,000 acres of rangeland, owned and operated by real-live cowboys, Pardee Erdman and his son Sumner. The ranch raises 5,000 head of cattle, and in 1988 the ranch imported about 40 elk for breeding purposes. Today, the herd's already over 200. Heading down from Ulupalakua, you'll pass through Kula. In these parts, temperatures average about 10 to 15 degrees lower than the rest of the island. So upcountry, and Kula in particular, is the perfect place to grow those sweet Maui onions. And flowers of every shape, size, and color. To see them in their natural setting, drive along the Lower Kula Road, Highway 37, and stop by a botanical garden. Those who like to hike and camp should head out to Poli Poli State Park. It's a little difficult to find, but well worth the trip. Call the number on your screen for detailed directions and cabin reservations. Once you arrive, you may question whether or not you're still on Maui when you see the hardy redwoods towering overhead. It's just another example of Upcountry's diverse personality. Also worth seeing is the Hui Noeau. Located on Baldwin Avenue, it's formerly the estate of the pioneering Baldwin family. The Hui Noeau serves as a visual arts center, offering exhibitions and art classes to visitors and the general public. Another highlight of Upcountry is Makawao, the little town with a big reputation. Makawao is cowboy country, with hitching posts, saddleries, and its very own watering hole. Take a walk downtown and you'll see all sorts of people celebrating themselves. Old-timers and new-agers, country sophisticates and aging hippies, gritty cowboys and eccentric artists. It's this individualistic attitude that makes Makawao the fitting place to honor Independence Day. Come the 4th of July and thousands of people don cowboy hats and boots to join the real Paneolos, or Hawaiian cowboys, for an old-fashioned rodeo, kicked off with a morning parade. And in the afternoon, it's showtime at the rodeo arena with bronco bucking, bull riding, calf roping, and horse prancing. Yep, Makawao is still wild on the 4th. So plan to take a drive around Upcountry. You'll discover a colorful personality with an enchanting mixture of all-American independence and island-style charm. There's more of Maui Island of the Sun after these messages. You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your complete source for all things Maui.
The Hawaiian Islands, the land of aloha, images of palm-fringed white sand beaches, hula girls, ukulele and flower leis abound. And the reality isn't far from the dream. Come along, hele mai, as we sort out fact and fiction in Hawaii 101. The history of the lei in Hawaii began in the South Pacific with the Polynesians, who honored their gods by adorning their bodies with strands of greens and fragrant flowers. In time, Hawaiians developed a richer variety of lei than anywhere else in Polynesia, and the tradition continues today. Hawaiians used materials they had at hand, commonly used plants and flowers were hala, lehua, ilima, tea, and maile. New plants were introduced by visiting foreigners, and today's lei make use of roses, carnations, plumeria, tuberose, jasmine, gardenias, and more. As well as relying on fragrant flowers, lei were used for their healing properties as well. Tea lei were valued for warding off evil spirits, and maile were prized for honoring the gods of hula. While temporary lei of greens and flowers were worn for everyday events and celebrations, Hawaiians excelled in making permanent lei from materials such as feathers, nuts, and bone. The lei niho palawa, a hook-shaped pendant carved from whale's tooth, was worn by royalty or ali'i. Lei hulumanu, or feather lei, were also prized by the ali'i. These feather lei required large amounts of time and care to make, as the birds had to be caught. Deep yellows were most valued, followed by reds, greens, and blacks. Today, feathers from non-native birds are used and are dyed to achieve the desired colors. Lei pupu, or shell lei, are most commonly strung using the shell's natural openings. Shells gathered from Ni'ihau and Kauai are most valued today, as they were in ancient times. Lei pupu, as well as other permanent lei, are prized ornaments and are handed down from generation to generation. Lei hua, or seed lei, were made from all types of seeds or nuts. Kukui lei are very popular today and are made from kukui nuts that have been punctured and the meat removed. The nut surface can be sanded smooth or textured, and kukui lei come in a range of colors from blonde to black. Strung together on vines, strings, or cords of varying lengths, lei are easy to make and can be a great home crafts project. Try it yourself and bring a fragrant bit of aloha to anywhere in the world.
We encourage visitors to do what we call travel pono. Travel in a way that is positive for the thousands of miles of ocean that surround us. Reefs cover less than 1% of our Earth's surface, but have over 25% of the marine life. So we have a really important job to protect this reef that's here. These are microplastics. This is what happens to your water bottle once it ends up in the ocean. Wildlife is very much interacting with the plastic that goes into our ocean. Probably triggerfish bites, maybe a small shark. The other really important thing is choose sunscreens that don't have toxic chemicals. Look at the label and choose those that are only active ingredients of zinc oxide and/or titanium dioxide. The more people who experience what the ocean has to offer, I think the healthier our planet's going to be.
Big gifts, little gifts, souvenirs, or just because. Here on Maui, they're all great gifts. Here's a few we recommend. Everyone loves to go home with a beautiful Hawaiian tan. Amazing Maui Bay Browning Lotion will give you a gorgeous, dark, long-lasting tan with just a short time in the sun. You'll truly be amazed by this natural, local tanning secret. You'll find it in stores island-wide. Big, little, souvenirs, or just because. These are a few of the great gifts you'll find here on Maui.
Travel, trade, and leisure on the ocean have been part of Hawaiian culture and tradition for 1,000 years. The first Polynesian explorers to reach the Hawaiian Islands left behind a remarkable seafaring legacy, voyaging aboard mighty double-hull canoes and colonizing most of the habitable islands of the Pacific, long before Europeans had left the safety of their shores. As the Hawaiian Islands opened to foreign trade, the harbors of Honolulu and Lahaina became bustling ports of maritime commerce. Traders, Whalers, cargo ships, and luxury liners brought more settlers, business interests, and tourism, making Hawaii one of the most important seaports in the Pacific. In 1844, the first steamships began inter-island service, and over the years, travel and trade between the islands grew as this dependable means of transportation began serving the sugar industry and supplying provisions to the many plantation communities throughout the Hawaiian Islands. As foreign interest in these remote islands grew, the once thriving ocean heritage and rich cultural traditions of the Hawaiian people were nearly lost. Even the favorite pastimes of surfing and canoe racing were effectively banned. Although King David Kalakaua revived many Hawaiian traditions, surfing and paddling remained in relative obscurity until Duke Kahanamoku and the Outrigger Canoe Club brought them worldwide attention in the 1920s and 30s. Today, outrigger canoe racing remains one of the most popular of the Hawaiian ocean sports, with practice times and regatta dates often dictating work and school schedules. And with well over 60 established clubs and thousands of active paddlers throughout the islands, it's no wonder this is Hawaii's official team sport. As part of the Hawaiian cultural renaissance that flourished in the 1970s, the Polynesian Voyaging Society was founded to build and sail a performance replica of a Hawaiian double-hulled voyaging canoe. And in 1976, Hokulea voyaged along the legendary migration route to Tahiti, using traditional methods of non-instrument navigation, proving that the early Polynesians had the ability to explore and settle in the farthest corners of the Pacific. Over the 30 years since the first voyage of Hokulea, she has continued to inspire the revival of Polynesian maritime culture and tradition throughout the Pacific. In 1998, the annual International Festival of Canoes was launched in Lahaina. This 2-week cultural heritage event features master carvers from all over the Pacific Islands and Hawaii. Using traditional hand and modern power tools, carvers construct canoes out of solid logs, as young apprentices learn the lost arts that take a canoe from tree to sea. For 20 years, the Hawaiian Sailing Canoe Association has taken the lead in reviving another Polynesian ocean tradition.
This is how the Hawaiian people, thousands of years ago, navigated their way to Hawaii. This is how they went from island to island. This is how they fought their wars. This is basically how they traveled.
What we have here is traditional type of vessels, sailing canoes, that have been sailing throughout Polynesia for thousands of years. We try to practice and perpetuate that as much as possible for us and for future generations, and try to get the kids involved as much as we can, and help them to see that this is not only a lifestyle but part of our tradition and our culture.
You know, my vision for the Hawaiian Sailing Canoe Association is to continue to grow. It's to continue to share. It's to continue to work with the young kids so that we can bring them up. Because we're it. If we don't share it, if we don't teach it, it's going to go away again.
With such a long and meaningful ocean heritage being passed on by the dedicated members of associations, clubs, and community groups, it's easy to see why, for so many, to live in Hawaii means to learn and share the ways of the ocean. Whether for work or for play, as part of tradition or for transportation, traveling on the ocean continues to be an important way of life in modern Hawaii.
You're watching the Maui Visitor Channel, MVC, your complete source for all things Maui.
Frida's Beach House, we pride ourselves on craft beverages. Here is a South American classic, the Pisco Sour. Start out with your pisco, which is a grape liqueur, organic egg whites, fresh lime, and our specialty, the organic sugarcane juice. Give that a nice dry shake. Get those egg whites nice and frothy. Add ice. Shake again. And the key to this drink is the foam. So when you see it come out, you're going to want to have it nice and foamy on top. Just like that. Finish with some classic bitters. Right on top. Come down to Frida's Beach House for your Pisco Sour today.
With rich soil, gently sloping foothills, and the perfect mix of sun and clouds, Hawaii is the ideal place to grow coffee. Here on Maui, the lower hillsides of the West Maui Mountains provide the best growing conditions for creating some of the most celebrated coffees in the world. The original Ka'anapali Coffee Estate is the largest on the island, with 500 acres of former sugarcane fields now growing 4 different coffee varieties: Red Cat Wai, Yellow Katura, Typica, and Mocha. Early winter rains and pollination help coffee trees blossom, with the flowers eventually turning into what are known as coffee cherries. These cherries are allowed to ripen before they're harvested, just like the grapes that are used to make fine wine. Then, state-of-the-art machines shake the coffee tree just enough to harvest the fully matured red cherries, leaving the green ones to ripen some more. The matured cherries undergo a technique called wet processing to remove the beans. Once removed, the coffee beans are dried, milled, and finally ready to be roasted. The roasting process is a true art form that requires expert skill and timing. During roasting, the hidden essence of the beans' oils are released, giving each coffee variety its own unique character. Then and only then is the coffee bean ready for grinding, brewing, and enjoying. So while you're on vacation, don't forget to taste some of the richest, most flavorful coffee in the world, made right here on Maui.
Pacific Media Group and the Hawaii Visitors and Convention Bureau are proud to announce the official visitor guidebooks for the Hawaiian Islands. This suite of island-specific visitor guidebooks feature informative editorial content and offer helpful visitor resources such as island maps and stunning photography, highlighting the best that each island has to offer, as well as recommendations for popular attractions, dining options, shopping and cultural experiences, and island adventures and activities. Look for the official Visitor's Guide to Maui in airports, magazine racks, and select hotels and resorts. The official visitor guidebooks to the Hawaiian Islands, available now.
Aloha and welcome to Maui. I'm Celeste Akeo. The American writer Mark Twain
One set of the Valley Isle, I went to Maui to stay for a week and remained 5. I never spent so pleasant a month before or bade any place goodbye so regretfully. So join us as we explore all the best that Maui has to offer. Our journey begins 10,000 feet above the sea at mighty Haleakala, House of the Sun.
I first discovered glassblowing when I was 19, and it completely changed the trajectory of my life. It engages me in a way that nothing else ever has, and after 24 years, I still learn new things about the material every time I blow glass. To share this passion, we offer private lessons. Blowing glass gives you an appreciation for the material that you can't get any other way, and you get to make your own perfect Maui souvenir. When you make a piece at Moana Glass, you take home something that's not only made on Maui, but something that's made by you. Find us on moanaglass.com.
Be sure and check out MVC's YouTube channel and watch all the content you see here on the Maui Visitor Channel streaming on YouTube. Or view any of our content there as well, on demand, anytime, anywhere. Look for the red live frame and check out all things Maui at your leisure, streaming to your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV in the comfort of your car, home, or office, anywhere in the world, anytime, with MVC's YouTube channel. Or share all of MVC's informative, engaging programming with friends and family before they come to Maui, so they can get the lowdown on what's up on Maui. YouTube and the Maui Visitor Channel, a match made in paradise. Search for Maui Visitor Channel online and look for the YouTube channel. Or go to youtube.com and search for Maui Visitor Channel there, and let the viewing begin.
Aloha and welcome back. I'm Celeste Akeo. While visiting Maui in 1866, American legend Mark Twain discovered a verdure-clad needle of stone 1,000 feet high that stepped out from behind a corner and mounted guard over the mysteries of the valley. He was writing about one of Maui's most historically significant sites, where the epic Battle of Kepanivai was fought, and it is there at the majestic Iao Needle where we continue our visual exploration of Maui.